For the last 14 years, the Tories have tried to pretend they've been running the country for everyone, when what they've really been doing is running it for the benefit of themselves and their friends. Of all the many lies the Tories have told over the last 14 years, probably the biggest lie of all was that we are all in this together. But the truth is, working people have seen the biggest fall in living standards since the Second World War, while the Tories and their rich mates are now more than 70% richer. That doesn't sound much like all being in it together to me.
It'd take us all day to list the ways the Tories have failed working people, often with women, black, LGBT+ and disabled workers at the sharp end, from attacks on employment rights, slash funding for public services and brutal cuts to social security. The Tories have made life terrible for millions of people.
The country feels broken right now, but if at the next election we can deliver a Labour government, we can start to rebuild this country so that we can all prosper.
In this document, the mission.
Labour has committed to undoing a lot of the damage caused by the Tories and creating a fairer and more equal future for all workers. Within 100 days of getting into government, Labour will introduce their new deal for working people. That's going to help improve pay and conditions for millions of people.
Labour is also going to do what's necessary to close the gender, ethnicity and disability pay gaps. Under Labour, large employers will have to measure and report their current pay gaps and take action to close them. The Labour government will also introduce a powerful new Race Equalities Act to tackle structural racism. LGBT+ rights are going to be strengthened with a tougher sentence for those who commit anti-LGBT+ hate crimes. And there'll also be an outright trans-inclusive ban on conversion therapy.
On disability, Labour is the only political party committed to what's called the social model of disability, which means that Labour will ensure disabled people are included in policy and decision-making processes. Labour will also fix the Access to Work scheme and better support disabled people who can't work. For the last 14 years, the Tories have brought in policies that have made life worse for anyone who can't work because of their poor health, a disability, or caring responsibilities. A Labour government is going to completely overhaul universal credit, put an end to the punitive sanctions the Tories introduced, and reform social security to make sure it provides a proper safety net for people.
It's shocking that around 4.2 million children in this country now live in poverty, with over 1 million of those children living in families so short of money they can't even afford new clothes, food, or even heating. Labour's plan to provide a proper safety net and create a real living wage will lift millions of families out of poverty. On top of that, Labour has also committed to addressing the terrible housing crisis in this country to make high-quality homes more affordable and accessible.
Labour are also going to help families who are struggling to balance work with their caring responsibilities. They're going to review the parental leave system so that it better supports working families. And they'll make sure there's help for people getting back into work after having a child by rolling out affordable, accessible childcare from the end of parental leave right up to the beginning of school. Labour will also help parents, carers and grandparents to work the jobs and hours that suit them by ensuring everyone has the right to flexible working from day one. And they're going to provide free breakfast clubs at all primary schools.
The last 14 years under the Tories haven't just been tough for people financially, they've also had a devastating impact on many people's health. Our NHS, once the envy of the world, is now under so much pressure it can't cope. The Tories have been underfunding it for years, and now millions of us can't even get a dentist or GP appointment when we need it. Waiting lists are at record highs, and there's around 2.5 million people who would love to get back to work, but can't because they're waiting for treatment.
And we know living under the Tories hasn't just affected our physical health. In the last 14 years, our mental health has also got worse. Right now, there are around 1.2 million people on the waiting list for community mental health care. We know how important good mental health is, and it's great that Labour plans to change health and safety regulation so that a worker's mental health is treated with the same level of concern as their physical health. Labour is also planning to employ 8,500 more mental health professionals so they can work towards making sure everyone can get the help they need within 1 month of being referred. Labour has plans to reform dentistry contracts so that everyone who needs an NHS dentist can get one. They will introduce a new neighbourhood health service, bringing care closer to communities. And Labour's Fit for the Future Fund will double the number of state-of-the-art CT and MRI scanners to ensure people can get a diagnosis when they need it.
And they'll address the long-standing health inequalities that affect women, Black, Asian and minority ethnic, disabled and LGBT+ people. Labour's mission is to make sure everyone gets equal access to the treatment they need when they need it. But of course, if we want these changes to happen, we need people to vote for a Labour government.
Some people don't vote because they don't see themselves or the issues that matter to them reflected in politics. And there are others who might want to vote, but the Tories have made it hard for them by introducing voter ID. It's obvious the Tories are hoping to win by putting hurdles in the way. It's up to us to help voters overcome them.
We need to explain to people what a Labour government will do for them and encourage everyone we know, colleagues, friends, neighbours, everyone to vote Labour at the next election. For far too long, people like us have been ignored and sidelined. This coming election is a chance for us to change that. Let's not lose this opportunity. Our vote is our voice. Let's make sure at this election our voice is heard.